tuning in and welcome to this week's review of No Country for Old Men, starring Tommy Lee Jones.
Showtime. Let me ask you something. What's the most you ever lost in a coin toss?
Look, I need to know what I stand to win.
Everything. Just call it friendo.
Now that is a great hook, and that was all I needed to see of the trailer to know I was gonna see this movie. The Coen brothers have built quite a reputation over the years with such films like Raising Arizona, Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink, Fargo, and possibly the biggest cult classic from them, The Big Lebowski. So going into this, I had high hopes for No Country for Old Men. The reviews were great, and the buzz was strong. This film has some of the best suspense and tension that I've seen in many years, and the Coen brothers have always had a style of all their own, so it's hard to predict where the story's going. The dialogue was also as good as it gets, and there are several scenes in this movie that were scripted extremely well. And as you just seen from the coin toss clip, there's like a completely out-of-the-box style of conversation from an extremely smart script. And I do think this is one of those movies that you need to see at least 2 times to take it all in, because they don't spoon-feed you at all. You just need to make sure you're paying attention throughout this film. There's no question that Javier's character steals the show, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of Steve Buscemi's character in Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, except for 10 times as menacing. The direction and execution of this character was flawless, and the weapons he uses have a style of all their own. And this was easily one of the best characters in a movie this year. This does have some of the most realistic violence that I've seen in a while, and there are a few scenes that I knew the crowd was a little overwhelmed by. And since I've seen so much gore, it wasn't a real big deal to me, but it's not for the squeamish, and some of the wounds looked about as real as I've seen in a movie. The shots in this movie are stunning, and the camera angles they use keep this movie very dynamic, even though the pacing is on the slower side. Now the slow pacing isn't really a problem because the tension is so high, and they really understand how to build the characters and the story in such a way to keep you riveted to how this whole thing is going to play out. The casting for this movie was top notch, but as usual, Stephen Root has like 10 lines in the movie. Now I've been a huge fan of his since I first saw him on news radio.
I don't think you're understanding me. I lost Bill. I bet him in a poker game, and I lost him to station WTSB in Atlanta.
You lost Bill in a poker game?
I'm afraid I did.
What else could have possibly been in the pot?
DBX console.
Let me get this straight. You bet me against a DBX console? A DBX console? This is outrageous!
DBX console is worth $2 million.
Really?
If you haven't seen that show, make sure you check it out. It's brilliant. Now most of you probably know him from Office Space as the office nerd Milton with the really thick glasses and the red stapler.
Excuse me, I believe you have my stapler.
And he's one of the best character actors in Hollywood. But it's just unfortunate that he doesn't get larger roles in the movies he's in. Now everything in this movie is top notch. The casting, the acting, the directing, and the execution. A perfect 5-star movie, right? Not so fast. This film to me was literally perfect for about 98% of the movie. So what went wrong? Well, it did have to end, right? And this is where we're all watching and the final scene was coming to an end and we all felt it coming, but we were hoping for a few more answers. And that didn't happen. And it was kind of like they wrote this masterpiece and then let someone else finish the last scene of the movie. Now, I will watch this again later and see if I feel any different, but as of right now, I feel like they ended the movie on the wrong scene and without enough closure. Now, if this wasn't so damn good for the first 98% of the film, I would have just killed this movie. But as it is, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and reserve harsher judgment for after I've seen the film for a second time. Overall, this is not a movie for everyone. You need to be a big fan of suspense and drama and can handle some serious lifelike violence. And you can tell that some people weren't prepared for some parts of this movie. So if you're a fan of the Coen brothers, you should definitely give it a shot. But be warned, when the screen fades to black, pretty much everyone in the theater, including myself, let out a pretty disappointing gasp, and we're all pretty deflated when the director's names came up. And I'd have to seriously say that for right now, this has to be one of the worst endings for one of the best movies that I've ever seen. It was just too anticlimactic. Literally, the entire time I watched the movie, all I was thinking was, This is the epitome of a 5-star movie. But then the final scene came and went, and I literally said, "You've got to be kidding me." But I'll watch it again, and then I can be sure. From overall rating, I give No Country for Old Men not so fast 4.5 stars.
Rangers and the DEA are headed back out to the scene this morning. You gonna join them?
Any new bodies to keep you laid out there?
No, sir.
Well, then I guess I can skip it.